We're now going to look at writing data to the existing file and also how to write data to a brand new file. So here's my code from before, and I've just added a comment at the top to remind me what this does. It just opens and closes a file, and it reads all of the data in at once. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add one student's record details to the end of this file. That's all we're going to do. So that's a particular type of thing, so we're going to call that append data to a file. And what that means is that we are going to add to the end of a file. So we're not going to try and do anything odd like go into the in between two students and then add a student in there. All we're going to do is we're going to get hold of this file and we're going to write a new student to line 17. So again, we can use exactly the same method as before, but I'm just going to show you a better way of opening and closing files, and that makes use of the with keyword. So we can do exactly as we did at the top, but this time we can use with open. So we're calling the function open, and inside the function we're going to still give the name of the file that we want opened as a parameter. So it's a string, and then with the with keyword we make use of as. So with open, so with this file opened as, and this is what we're going to call it, so we'll call it st file. So just so you know, it's this can be the name of this is again the name of our variable. Here we called it s file, so I can carry on calling it s file. I don't need to rename it, and then we need a colon here. So this what this way of opening a file guarantees for us is that it will close the file properly as well. So sometimes in programs, if we open a file using just this command, then it's a very common error to forget to close the file. That doesn't matter much if all we're going to do is read the file, but it does matter quite a lot if we're going to be writing to a file, and so this is a much safer way of doing this because it will close the file after it's executed the statements within the indent. So we can open the file, and then let's say we're going to write some data to it. So what I'll do is I'll just say student equals, and I'll just make up the string for a new student. So let me, I don't know what the format is going to be, so I'll just call it new one, and then we'll put \t for a tab character, and then we'll just enter one number, just one grade, and then a new line. So I'm just building it up exactly like we saw the data before. And now to write this data, all we need to do is we just issue a command. So we can just issue the write command, and so we're going to say what, so we're calling the write function, and we say what data we're going to write, and then we say where we're going to write it, and we're going to write it in s file. So we just use s file dot write and whatever it is that we're going to write. So what this will do, it opens a file and it calls it, gives it a variable name s file. It also deals with closing it and any errors that occur if the file isn't found. Here I've created a string for a new student. I don't have to. I could have quite easily put this string in here, in this place instead, and this write function just writes that data to the file. So one other thing that we have to change here is, because we are adding to the file, then we need to give it one more parameter, one more flag as a string, and that is a, and a stands for append. So if I just run this, luckily we haven't got any errors. Usually there's always an error when you write any kind of programming code. And so now I'm just going to check my student grades file, because this is what and check whether this command has executed. So let's just go over here. So just going over to this file, it's actually saying, look, it's been modified by something else. Do you want to reload it into RAM? And if I reload it, there is my new student written right at the end there. There's the tab character, and there's a new line character at the end of that, and that's why I've got 18 lines in this file. So this is a much better way of opening a file. So even here we could have just used with open studentgrades.txt exactly like that, and not had the append as sfile, and then we can just say data equals sfile.read, and then we don't need to issue a close file, because the with open as commands carry out the close for us. So I've just changed this string that's going to be written to a file, and again, if I run this now, it executes, and if I open this file, it's now added a new student with 80, 80, 80, because I've put the tab spaces in there. We're now going to look at creating a brand new file and writing to that. And again, we are going to use the same pattern as we used above, and this time I'm going to use the open function, and I'm going to create a file. So this file does not exist, and I'll show you that in my folders. So here are the files in the project folder in which I'm working at the moment, and the file I'm going to create, it will be a new file which doesn't exist, and I'm going to put some data in there. I'm going to call this file just test.txt. I'm going to give a txt extension, because then I can open it using any text editor. And this time, instead of append, I'm going to use W for write. So this allows me to write to a file, not just append it. And then I'll give it a name. So I can still use the variable s file. So when it comes down here, it will this is just a test file, so actually I might as well call it test file. So, or t file, that's even shorter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say tfile.write, exactly as we did above, and this time I'm going to type in my string. And as I mentioned before, if we use the with command, the with open as, then the closing of the file is taken care for us. Just to reiterate the pattern that we've used here, we only passed in the parameter which contained the name of the file here, and that defaults to read only, so it opens the file to be read. If we use the A flag as well as the name of the file, this opens this particular file so we can add to the end of it, and if we use the W, it means we write to the file. So if I used this command with my student grades file, what the write command does, it wipes everything in the student grades.txt file, and it will overwrite that file with, this is a test file made using Python. Okay, so that's why I've got a different name for this file, and it's a write file. So let's run this and see what happens. So it hasn't thrown up any errors. So if I go and have a look here, I have now got a file which is called test.txt. And if I double click to open this file, it opens in Notepad, and it's just a text file, and it's got the string which I passed to it using the write function. So just as a reminder, this is what I wrote. This is a test file made using Python, and that's exactly what this file is called. So again, experiment with this, because if I now so what I was saying before is that it will, if we don't give a name of a new file, or if we use W here, then what it does is it overwrites everything that exists in that file. And I'll just show you what I mean by that. I'm just going to copy these commands, and then so it doesn't matter about my test file. I'll just close it here, and I'll just write did this delete. Okay, so again, if I'm doing exactly the same as I did before. I'm opening a test file, so if it doesn't exist it will create it, but if it does exist it will open it and wipe everything, because I'm asking it to open it for writing purposes, and it's going to overwrite this string instead of this string, which is what existed before. So let's run this program. No errors detected. And if I open up my file and have a look at it, there it is. It deleted everything which existed in the file to begin with.